Yo, what up, guys? All right, welcome back. So, in the last part of the video, I came across as you saw, there was a bit of an issue in regards to the validation of the. Let me just run the application again. The validation of the what you call it, the email. So, if you check within our helper, we had this expression over here. Let me minimize this. So we had this expression over here. So I thought there was something wrong here, or maybe there was a bit of a misspelling or whatever. But it was weird because I've used this particular expression before, so I double checked to see what was the issue. So I found what the problem was. So in this method over here, I didn't put this exclamation mark, for example. So every time the application came into this if block, it checked to see if the expression matches whatever is matches this regular expression over here, and so it always returned true. That is why whenever we let me refresh here, you'll see just now, whenever we inserted a incorrect email, it always returned true. It didn't see it as a problem. So um, 1 2 3, you get what I'm saying? So this email, as you can see, it's wrong. So if I say sign up, okay, I needed to do that before I ran the application. So let me stop it. So in any case, as you saw in the previous video, you could type in an email like this and it passed the validation, of which it's wrong. It's not supposed to do that. So therefore, initially I thought that the expression that we had here was incorrect, but it's actually fine. The problem was here, in which the way we set up the if block, it always returned true. So no matter what we did, that this error message was always being set. And so I'll show you now. I removed the exclamation mark on that method. So okay, it's running. So I'm gonna refresh now. So if I remove, okay, let me leave it as it is. So if you check, it's always saying the email is incorrect, or please enter a valid email. But then this is a valid email. So the issue was just the way in which we set up the method. So maybe you guys, some of you guys must have seen it, but in any case, just make sure you put an exclamation mark there, and then you will see that basically what we're doing here is checking that if the email doesn't match that regular expression that we have here, as we're checking it here, then set the error message, because then that means that the email is not correct. So therefore, just gonna rerun this. Don't mind the errors that you saw just then. I just updated IntelliJ, so there must be some issue somewhere, but the application will run. So so now this email should be correct. When I click sign up, the only thing that should be wrong is the passwords. So now here's another thing, right? I just put in 3, right? So here's another thing. Like I said, within our sign up validation helper, you can add whatever methods you want to add in here to do whatever checks you want to do. It's flexible. At least then you can just add whatever methods that you need to do to add some extra validations if you need to. So in regards to our application, I actually forgot one more method, which is to check the password length. I'm not gonna check the name length. It's not necessary, but at least for the password, if you can make sure we do a check where the password has to be at least 8 characters. So I just want to quickly add that method because I forgot that within the last part of the video. So but it's simple. All you have to do is just add a method where we check for the length of the password. So check password length, right? And then all we have to do is do an if, and then we're just gonna say this dot get password dot length, and then we just have to make sure that if it's less than 8 characters, then we're gonna create our error message, or we're gonna add our error message. Okay, so we'll just say password must be 8. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing for the confirm password as well. So we're just gonna say confirm. I'm just gonna add field so that it makes sense, and then here we just have to say confirm field. Alright, so we're just getting the length of the characters, and then if it's less than 8 characters, it's gonna set the error message. So okay, so now we have to add this method in our constructor up here. Alright, and that's it. So now at least but like I said, if you want to add other methods within here to do whatever checks you need to do, you can do that. I think for this is fine. I'm not gonna check the name length or the last name length. The password match method we have, the email validation method, these at least are the most important ones. But yeah, you can add whatever methods you want to add. I just want to run this just to show you that it also works. And then so yeah, so now if I come in here, let me see, let me refresh. Alright, so as you can see, confirm field must be greater than 8 characters, password also must be greater than 8 characters. So now at least we have to add in more than we having what you call it. So now at least for the we can check to see if the two passwords match, and then we can also check to see if the characters that the user enters are greater than 8 characters like we set it up. So, and then the email validation is also working. So if I show you, if I remove this, and then you see now we're getting that message over there. So now at least for the form validations we should be done. So in this part of the video, what I wanted to actually focus on is actually registering the user, but there's a couple of things we need to do. So remember, the user needs to send after the user registers, there's an email that we need to send for the user to validate um, their account. Now in this video I'm going to be using this service called Mailtrap. So for Mailtrap, all you have to do is just go to the site and register. You can create a free account, and then you get one particular inbox. I don't know why it's doing this pop-up. So you get one particular inbox. I don't know how many you can create. I think you can add, but I'm pretty sure it's limited. But for testing purposes, one particular inbox should be fine. So you can just go to Mailtrap and sign up. Basically you just register. I already have an account and stuff, so that's all you need to do. And then you can register with a Gmail account or your own personal email or whatever, and therefore and then start working. So we're gonna be using Mailtrap to to do our to catch our emails. So as I showed you in the demo, we had this template, and then we can just click on that button to verify the account and stuff. So but there's a couple of things we need to do within here. Right, so let me stop the server, minimize here, close that window. Right, so we're done with this one, also done with that. So in here, so in the config package or folder, I need to add another class here. I'm going to call it email config. Alright. So in this class, what we're going to be adding is some email configuration. Now, let me start off by doing this. So, unfortunately, I don't remember all the code by heart, so I'm going to have to copy and paste it into this class. All you have to do is just pause the video to see what the actual code looks like. So, let me just copy the whole method. Alright, so let's import this. Hold on. Alright, so for this class to work, there's a dependency that we need within our pom.xml file. So I don't think we added it when we were creating the project, so I'll copy that dependency as well into this pom.xml file. So I'll just put it just below the test dependency and paste it there. So for these methods to pick up, or for these methods to work, we need this dependency over here. So it's the org.springframework.boot spring starter email and so forth. So let me reload the project, and then it's gonna download the dependencies we need in order for us to be able to work with these these methods. Alright, so I think it's done. Let me see if we can import these now. Import class. Okay, now we have it. So just make sure you have this this dependency. There's another one that I want to add as well. So we're gonna be hashing our passwords. So at the moment, I didn't show you the passwords that we're getting here are plain, but in our controller we didn't set it. We haven't started working on processing the registration form, but let's just, since we're here, I just want us to also add this dependency here. So this is the Spring Security Crypto. This is going to allow us to have access to the bcrypt object so that we can hash our passwords. So I'm just going to refresh the project, let it download, and then should be fine from there. So this is our email config, and then there's a couple of things we need to do. So with this, make sure you annotate this as a bean, otherwise this won't pick up. But we're basically creating a static method where it returns a Java email sender implementation, and then in here we're creating the object, and then these are the properties we set. So now make sure you set the properties as is, and then here within the email config, which is the object that we are creating up here, for example, if you check there, this is the sandbox.smtp.mailtrap. So these settings, you're gonna get it within your Mailtrap account. So if you have one, you should have the let me see, home inbox, sorry. Okay, so that configuration, you should get it. Where do you get it again? Okay, let me just check. This is the username, 12 whatever. Yeah, that's the name, and then this is the password. So I think there's a way in which we can see the password. It's just, but in any case, this is where you get your credentials and stuff. So as you can see, sandbox.smtp.mailtrap.io is what we are setting here within this as a host, and then the port is going to be 2525, and then this is the username, and this is the password. So now you can reset these credentials anytime, but I'm going to use the same ones, and then I just want to see, oh yeah, so all you have to do is just click on the password, and then as you can see, it copies it. So now if I go back here and set this to empty, and I'll paste it again, as you can see, that's the password. So obviously your settings are not going to be the same as mine. Just make sure you enter the correct whatever your account is showing, just enter it here, and then you should be able to receive emails when we do the testing. Obviously, I'm going to reset this as soon as we're done with the project, and then yeah, we'll take it from there. So these just get your credentials from Mailtrap and then set them here within this email config. Alright, so the properties, as you can see there, please set them as they are, and then we should be done with this particular class. Alright, so here within our helpers, we also need a couple of things. So I'm gonna create a package here. I'm gonna call it mail let's just call it mail helpers. Alright, so one second for me. Okay, so in here we're gonna create a class, and then this one we're gonna call it mail. I'm just gonna call it mail messenger helper. Right, and then in here I'm gonna copy and paste the method that we need to set up. So I'm gonna copy this. By the way, I will leave this project within the I will leave a link in the description below to this project, so you'll be able to just copy the code, clone the project from my GitHub repository. So but you can also pause the video and just make sure you have everything as is. So I just want to close this tab. So as you can see, that's the configuration. So now we need to import this mail config. Right, so this mail config is the config class that we just created here. Alright, so we're gonna create this Java sender object, Java mail sender object, and then we're gonna set it to this configuration. And then here we're just setting the my message, and then the sender, obviously it's this one here, and then the my message helper, which is going to be HTML, so that we can send it as an HTML template. You get what I'm saying? So again, just make sure you you have the method exactly as how I have it here. And then from here, this is just where we send the attributes. So who we're sending the email to, who the email is from, and then the subject, and then the body of the text, the message. This is going to be the text and the body, and then obviously it's going to be in an HTML format. So here we have to set that to true, right? And then here obviously we're going to say sender.send message, which is this object here, and then obviously the sender is this one. So this is the method that's going to process our email. So it's going to take in a couple of properties. The method is going to take in a couple of properties: who the email's from, who we're sending the email to, the subject, and then the body. And then also it's going to throw an exception, which is a messaging exception. Make sure you have that in your method signature. And then I think that's pretty much it. So let me close this pom.xml file. So there's going to be another class that I need to create in here. This one I'm just going to call it message helper. So within this class, we're just going to create a couple of methods within here that we're going to use. So basically, I don't want to put all the string. I'm going to just create, actually let me just type it out, it'll be much easier to understand. So there's going to be other methods in here that return certain messages, but the main one I want to show you is for the email template. So I'm going to say public and then this is going to be verify email account or email body. Alright, so this is gonna take in two parameters, so string token and then string code, right? Alright, so by the way, I'm only doing this so that I can keep track of where my methods are, what you call it, because when you have multiple methods within the thing, sometimes it gets difficult to track where the closing braces are. So for now, I'm just going to return an empty string, or rather, no, let me just say, yeah, for now, let me just return an empty string. Okay, so a couple of things, right? There's going to be a string, which is going to be a URL. Now, obviously, we are running as a local host, and then the port is going to be that. So, we are going to set the URL as 127.0.0.1, right? And then the port is going to be 7001. And then the URI is going to be verify account. All right. Now, there's going to be a token and a code that's going to be sent along with the email, and that's going to be part of the URL parameters or for where the user is going to that's going to be part of the URL parameter. So what we need to do now here on the account, we're going to say this, and then we're going to say token, which is going to equal to whatever the token gets passed in here. And then we're going to say and code, which is going to be this code here. So you'll get to see why is this giving an error now? Oh, it's that plus sign. Okay, so this URL is going to be part of the I'll show you now. So this is our URL. This is where the so this URL string is going to be part of the, so if I show you on this one, so when the user clicks on the button, if you look here on the bottom here, you'll see it's going to show up. So this is how the URL is going to look like: 1.7 whatever, and then the token string, and then whatever code it's going, whatever random code we're going to generate within our controller. So that's basically what I'm trying to do over here. So let's talk about the email body or the email template. So now I did design this within my GitHub repository, right? So I think it's verify account email. So this is the template. I designed it, and I'm gonna copy it as it is along with the styling, right? And then we're gonna paste it within these two what you call it, these two quotes, two quotation marks, right? One of the reasons why I did the URL string is because here within the, I'll show you now, within the href we need to add that. So now how do I do this? Hopefully that I did that the right way. So the URL is just going to be appended to this this anchor tag here, which is basically this anchor tag that you're seeing here. Now this is how ultimately the email template is going to look like, and then when the user clicks on the verify button, as like I said, if you check down here, this is what when the user clicks on this button here, this verify button is going to redirect them to that URL. The application will then automatically verify the account and then send them to the login page. So that's it in terms of the email body, right? So now we should be able to call this method within our controller. Okay, so now let's go to the sign up controller. All right, so there's a couple. So this is where we, as soon as we pass the validations, now we're gonna go. Now we're gonna start processing the registration form. So there's a couple of things we need to do. We still need to add a service to add the user within the database. What else? We still need to add a repository and also the model. So there's a couple of things we need to do in this video, so let's not waste any more time. So right, let me start here. Number one, we need a token string, right? And so remember, in our helpers here, we have a general string helper which generates a random. There's a method in here that generates a random string. So we're gonna say general helper dot generate random string, right? So this is gonna give us a random token, and then we also need to create a random code. Then we're gonna call this I'm just gonna call this random. I need to import this class. Alright, which equals to new. Okay, so here just below that we're gonna say int code equals to, and then here we're gonna say random dot next int. So here I'm gonna say 123 and then times 100. So now I'm only doing this so that it gives us, because if we don't put a bound within here, it's just going to give us a random number between, I think, 1 and 9 or 1 and 10, somewhere there. So with this, I'm just giving it a certain number of a range of numbers that I want it to get, and then I'm timesing that number times 100. So if you look if you look down here, if you check here, as you can see where it says at the end of that URL string, it says code equals to 2800. So we're gonna get a random code similar to that, but because we're getting also a random string, we're just adding an extra layer of security. That's basically what we're doing here. All right, so so this is where we got our token string, and then we get our random code, right? So now what we need to do is also hash the password. All right, so remember in our pom.xml file we added this dependency, so this is going to give us access to the bcrypt object, and then we can use that to hash our password. So I'm going to call this string hashed password, which equals to, we're going to say crypt, right? And then obviously we are gonna get our password, first name, last name, email. We're not getting these properties here. We're getting the validated ones, which is within our validate object that we sign up validation helper that we got. So here we're gonna say validate dot get password. Remember to get the password, not the confirm one, right? And then from here you're gonna say bcrypt dot gensalt. All right, so that's just gonna generate a salt and attach it to the password, or the hash attach it to the password and then hash it. All right, so that's it for the hash password. And then Now we need to create our service and our repository. So if I'm not mistaken, I don't think we created our database as of yet. So let me just quickly log in. Right. Oh, come on. Okay. Okay, we do have our database, but I don't think we have our user table. Okay, show tables. As you can see, we have an empty set of tables. Okay, so here within our resources, I'm just gonna create a folder and I'm gonna call it DB. And in here we'll create a SQL file. Okay, so even though I don't need to say this, but I'm gonna just so that we stay consistent, I'm gonna paste that there. Right, so the table is pretty much simple. Obviously we're gonna have a user ID int. Alright, and then obviously we're gonna have first name, that's gonna stay the same. Then we need email, and then this is gonna be 255, not null. Obviously this one has to be unique. Alright, then we got the password, also 255, not null. Then we need the token, also gonna be 255. This can be null. Alright, then we need the code. This is going to be int. This also can be null. And then we also need to check to see if the user did verify the their account. Right, and then the default obviously is going to be 0, and then and this can be date time. And then obviously we have created at. Okay. Alright, so that's our table: user ID, first name, last name, email, password. And then we also need these, and yeah, that should be it. So I just wanted to save this table in here so that we can when you download the repository, you'll have the table in there. So let me try and paste this here and see if it is gonna work. rows affected. Let's see. Show tables. Okay, so we have our users tables there, and then if I say describe users, that's the structure there. Okay, so now we have that table within our database. So let's close this. So now what we need to do is open the repository, or no, the model. So the model is going to be plus minus the same as what we just created there. So this is going to be at entity and then at table. Make sure you add this. Make sure you add this at the table. So it's also fine. You don't have to, because so long as you structure your user model the same as what we have here within our SQL file, you just need to make sure you have it in this way, so that when Springboot runs the application, it'll create that table based on based on how you created your user model. But I prefer doing it this way, so yeah, you can do it that way if you want to. So let's see, private int user ID, and then alright, so what do we need here? So we got the verified. Let's see, is that all? Verified ads, okay. So there's something I need to add here. There's an annotation called at, and then token string. Oh yeah, there's one more thing. Let me just do this. This is gonna give us an issue, so we need to set the default to 0, right? And then the token string can stay null. That's fine. So let's rerun this table again. So the first thing we need to do is drop the table. Okay, it's no longer there. And then let's rerun it again. Alright, so make sure the code is 0. It's gonna give you an issue. I saw this when I was building the first the application the first time, so just set that to 0. It should be fine. Okay, what else did I wanted to do? Oh yeah, so the token. And then I think also the code as well. But no, but the code is fine. Okay, so the problem is that these ones will return null, and so the system will give you an issue. Even this one, the the code, but because we set it to 0 and also the verified we set it to 0, it should return a value. So that shouldn't give us an issue. And then verified ads might also give it, or this won't give us an issue because we're going to verify the application. So yeah, in any case, that should be it. I think now we need to add the constructor for the getters and setters for our application. I mean for our user model. Click OK. Alright, so now we need to also annotate the user ID as the ID. Otherwise the repository will, Springboot will also throw an error because we're marking this as an entity. Alright, so let's go to our repository here. Alright. Make sure the user that you're importing is the one from our models, and then here we'll say integer. Alright. Okay, so I'm only going to add for the time being the code that we need to register the user. The others we will add afterwards, but for now I just want to make sure that we can register and do all the other stuff. So we're going to return an int. We're going to call this register user, and then we're going to add our parameters. So this is going to be first name, okay. So these are the parameters, but we need to add a couple of more annotations on top of this what you call it, this method. So we're gonna say at modifying, that's the first thing, and then we're gonna say add transactional, right? And then we're gonna say add query. So I'm just gonna use a standard query, a normal SQL query. So for that we need to say value, right? And then the other thing we need to say is native query, and make sure you mark that as true, right? So here, this is where we're gonna set our insert statement, right? Then what do we need? We need the first name, last name, email, token, and then obviously the code, right? Now, because of these parameters here within the values part, right, we need to add them as placeholders. So these params, let me actually type it out and then you'll see, right? First name. So make sure you put a semicolon there and then first name, and then this name must match what's in this parameter annotation here. So make sure you do that. So I'm gonna say also last name, email, all right. So like I said, make sure the name, the first name, the last name, the email, password, token, all of that must be exactly what you put in these param annotations. All right, I think that's pretty much it for our insert statement. I just want to double check. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Now we need to add a service class. So the first thing we need to do is add that repository, and then make sure you auto-wire it. Alright, so we need to create a method similar to what we have here. Let me just close off these, these other classes here. So we need to create a similar method to this one. You can name it whatever you want in here. It just has to be similar. It needs to return an integer, and then the parameters of the method needs to have exactly what we have here. So we're gonna say public int, and then we're gonna say, I'm just gonna call it the same, register user, and then we're just gonna say return user repository dot register user. So obviously we need the parameters, so we first have to add and what else? I think it's the code. All right. So we just the method that you're creating here within this, make sure it has all these inputs, and then that's what we are inserting into our user repository interface method. So Alright, so now we're gonna call this user service within our controller. So the sign up controller, we're gonna come here, and then at the top same thing, make sure to auto wire it. Okay. Alright, so just below where we were hashing the hashing the password here, we're gonna say so I'm gonna since our method is returning an integer, we're gonna say int result, and then we're gonna say equals to user service dot register user. So again, the first name we're gonna say validate dot get first name, validate dot get last name. What else? Validate dot get email, and then the password we're obviously not gonna get. We need to get the hashed one, right? So we're gonna say that, and then what else? Token. So the token and the code, we created them up here, so we just have to say token and then code. Let me put this on a next slide so you can see, or rather let me close this. Alright, I hope you guys can see. So we're getting the validated first name, validated last name, validated email, the hash password, which is up here, and then the token and code, which we created up here. Alright, so what I want to now do is create a if block. Alright, so we say result, if this is not equal to 1, we will return an error here. So we'll say this dot page so here for now we haven't created an error message page, so for now I'll just say sign up, and then we will return the user back with we'll return the user back to the sign up page for the time being, with a random error message. So I'm just gonna say, so I'm gonna say error, because remember we have notifications, what do you call it, within our notifications here we have an error message that we can display at least at the top of our page. So oh yeah, I don't actually have to name it this. What did I call our helper the other time? Oh yeah, dot error, right? And then we'll just say error registering user. Alright, so for now we'll just return him to the to the sign up page. So this is if after we insert the user's data into the database, if it doesn't work, it'll come here and then return the user back to the sign up page. But for now, if it doesn't do that, we then proceed to send an email to the user, right? So we have to say string email body equal to, so remember we created a message helper in here, so that's what we're going to access here. So verify so now we're gonna get the same code and token that we created up here, right? Then we're gonna say token, and then here we're gonna say string dot value of, and then add the code in there. So remember, the URL is always going to be in a string format. So where's that thing now? The URL is always going to be in a string format. So if we don't stringify if we don't convert the code, which is an integer, into a string, the message is gonna fail. It's not gonna go through, right? So here we're just setting the email body that we're gonna send to the user. So we have to take in the token, and then we also have to get the code, right? And then obviously within our message helper here, it's just going to add it or append it to this URL string, which is what the user is going to get when they try to click on the code, and then basically it's going to redirect them to the page where they have to verify the account. Okay, so that's it there. So now in this part we send the email. Right, so here we're gonna add where the email is coming from. We're just gonna say let's just say no reply we can say at example.com. This doesn't actually matter because we're using mail trap, so it doesn't necessarily have to be an actual email. So here we have to say validate email, and then the subject will be verify account, and then the email body is going to be this one here. Alright, so this is going to throw an exception, so we have to add we have to either surround this with a try catch block or add the exception to the method signature. So that it looks clean, I'm just going to say add exception to method signature. So make sure you also have this on your method. So I think that's pretty much it. So once this is all done, it's going to send an email message, and then we're basically going to return to the page. For now, we're just going to return to the sign up page. We are going to change this later on because we will need to we'll need to add other pages in here, so like a success page and an error page. But for now, we'll send it through to the sign up page. Alright, let's change that. Alright, so if we've done everything correctly, hopefully this will work, and then we should get an email within our mail trap here. So I'm gonna run the server. So by the way, in our database currently we don't have any users. So if I say select all, you see there's nothing there. So let's now check and see if our application is running. Is it running? Yeah, so far no errors. If I come back here, I'm just gonna refresh. So we're just gonna register with the same user, johndoe@example.com. And here we'll say password 123 123. Okay, so that should be it. Hopefully everything works. So let's click sign up, and then I just want to check here. So it looks like it's going through. Message successfully delivered to mail server. Alright, and then here we get the message, registration successful, please check to verify your account. So hopefully, okay, so there's it, verify account. and then as you can see our styling is still showing. And then let me hover, sorry, but for some reason the URL is not showing. Let me check the source. href. Okay, it is there. Okay, let's check the database. Okay, everything is there. The token is there. As you can see, it's 10,006. That's the token string. Verified is 0, and then verified at nothing. Created at is also null. It's not supposed to be null, but it is. In any case, okay, so just to be sure, I want to see something. So we don't have this URL as of yet within our server, but it should. Okay, in any case, we are receiving our email, and as you can see the data that we have in the database. Let me actually do it this way. Alright, so there's the token string, and then there's the code. For some reason created at didn't by default put in a timestamp. Let me just double check. In any case, that's fine. Verified ad is null, that's fine. 0. Okay, cool. Alright, so we did send our email. We are receiving it. Hopefully you guys were able to follow with what I was doing. And then you also, after registering the user, you got the email sent through. So now in the next part of this video, in the next part, we're going to be focusing on verifying the user accounts, the user account, because we need to add a repository in here to validate certain things, to check if the email exists, to also check and see if the code and token that we are getting within the URL, if that also exists, because we need to check and see, because when the user verifies the account, it's going to set both the token and code to null, and so therefore a user cannot continuously verify the account. So when we set this token to null and the code to null, and the user tries to access the very same link, it's supposed to send them to an error page. So in the next part of the video, we're going to be setting up the error message page, the error page and the success page, and then other methods within here to verify certain things. So I think for now this should be fine in terms of what we needed to do. At least the registration process part is done. The only thing that we need to do in the next part is verify the account, and then everything, as soon as that's done, we then redirect the user to the login page where they can log in and stuff. Then that's when we can work on, again, validating the user account, checking to see if the account is verified, and then so forth. Alright, so I think the video is already long enough again, but that should be it for now. Like I said, in the next part we're going to work on verifying the account, and then I'm a bit worried about this message helper here, but it's fine, we'll check that within the next part. Again guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed what you've seen so far, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you within the next part of this tutorial. Thanks again for watching, and cheers for now.